Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 174. I'll just cue the music and intro and I'll be with you in a minute. Hello, good to be back. So we're back with another live stream, and I'm not sure how long this is going to take. Maybe 1, maybe 2 hours, maybe more. See how it goes. Let's just switch the screens. And got a few topics to cover and to clear up some issues. Hey Renee, how's it going? First on again, eh? Or maybe you're the only one on. Why's the tickers not updating? Okay, so let's have a look. Better type the welcome message. So you're asleep, are you? Well, if you're tired, come back and watch it when it's offline. Robert's probably asleep too. But me and him will probably be doing a live stream on my lunchtime Saturday, which will be midnight. Not my lunchtime, my late night again Saturday, which will be his lunchtime. About 12 o'clock. So. And I'll probably do one Monday, which will be Sunday for USA people. So we're looking at a new time. So the live streams are on the weekend. So first up is this family in 1974. Here's some images from the time period. Now they claim this ball to be alien technology, and I will go over it and prove otherwise. So if it was hovering around there without them touching it, then we might have something interesting to go by. Why is these not coming up? Don't tell me there's a problem with it. Again, I know Google changing things. But I think we've got 2 watching and 1 like so far. Looking at, looks like they've done some changes on the admin panel as well for Google again. That's not good. Oh no, looks like they're coming up now. It's kind of strange. Normally they come up pretty quick. We'll probably have to look at a different system for the counters at some stage. I am writing a what you call it, AATIP script, which is a wee bit like VB, I suppose, and it creates a executable that you can run, and it, you can do all sorts of clever things without being a complex coder. Actually, it's quite a powerful program. So I'll just close that one down there and start with the main story, which I think is here. So it was March 22nd, 1974, and members of the Betz family, I'll see how well I'll go because my eyesight's a wee bit blurry still. Betz family were in Florida inspecting the damage done by a small bushfire near their property on Fort George Island. Let's see if we can find that. Fort George Island. I haven't heard of it. Obviously, that's where a lot of the Civil War happened, I guess. What was it? Fort George Island? Already I've forgotten. Fort George Island, yeah. That's the problem. When you get interrupted with other guests, you're thinking of what you're going to say vanishes from your head. At the moment, I've got this niggle in my lungs again. It's a virus that seems to come and go. It's hard to get rid of it. I think viruses know they're beaten, they go dormant, and then they sort of re-crop up again later with more superpowers. Fort George Island, okay. It looks like a pirate island in that picture there. What's this one? You can control how Google Maps works with your data. No thanks. Okay, so where's this island? Little Tappet. I reckon it's there. We're on the outskirts there. Jacksonville. Must be that whole thing. Oh, there we go. Looks like a swampland, really, doesn't it? Florida. Lots of crocodiles, is it? No, that was the alligators they have there. Don't have the saltwater crocs like they do in Australia, where you can be on a beach and then a crocodile can come up and eat you, swim up from the surf. So in certain places in Australia you've got to be careful of that. Okay, so let's just get an overview on satellite. Looks pretty green. Doesn't look like there's much place to build there, really, does it? It looks like there's a row of houses there, but they did say the island. Here it is, all down here on the outer edges. Down here. Bushfire. Let's see how you get a bushfire in such a swampy island. But I guess it's quite big, really, when you zoom right down to it. Interesting. Anyway, so that's where we're looking. Okay. The island is a patch of dry ground, well, I reckon it's dry, among the coastal marshlands of northeastern Florida, well timbered with beautiful moss-draped trees, whatever that is. Moss, I guess that's that man's beard they have to, is it? Tropical scrub. Antonia and Jerry Betz, accompanied by their 21-year-old son Terry, happened to stumble upon a surprising object. A bright metal globe about the size of a bowling ball, just sitting there in the grass. So apparently it was 8 inches. Is that the size of a bowling ball? I guess it would be. Just sitting there in the grass. It was quite heavy, but otherwise unremarkable. They guessed it might have been an old cannonball, except for it was hollow, so it can't be a cannonball. The island has a long history going all the way back to the 16th century Spanish mission. For whatever reason, they liked the ball and decided to take it home. And that's when the Betsy's lives changed. Okay, get rid of that there. It began with Terry was playing guitar. The family reported that the ball strangely resonated the music, and then it began to move around on its own, which can happen if you get an energy from sound. The Betzys experimented with it, placed it on their table, and watched it navigate its own way around the parameter without falling off. I guess that's possible. If the edge has got a little lip on it, which makes the ball constantly bang the edges and go back in, a bit like a pool table. So I'm not sure if you've got a picture of their table or not. And watched it navigate on its own around the parameter. Doors began slamming themselves around the house. Well, that's kind of strange. Unless they've got a window open, or a gust of wind maybe. Mysterious organ music filled the residence. That almost sounds like a paranormal haunting right there, doesn't it? Even though there was no organ, finally the Betzys had enough and contacted the newspapers in the hope that someone might tell them what the bizarre artifact was. Often, though, if they had contacted the newspapers, they're normally after money. So it doesn't say there whether they were selling the story to a newspaper or not. So there's a lot of questions and answers at the moment. The Jacksonville Journal sent a photographer, Lou Egner. Mrs. Betz told him to put the sphere on the floor. It rolled a ways, then stopped. So what? She said. So what? She said, just wait a minute. That's kind of a bit of a tricky thing. You've got to sort of pause on that sentence. It turned by itself and rolled to the right about 4 feet. Then it stopped. Then it turned again and rolled to the left about 8 feet. Made a big arc and came right back to my feet. What followed was something of a media frenzy. One of the many callers was Carl Wilson from the Ballistic Institute in Baton Rouge, LA, called Omega 1. Well, that sounds like some dietary supplement, doesn't it? Wilson spent 6 hours examining the ball at the Betz home and reported not only that it had a powerful magnetic field, but it also transmitted a radio signal. Now, that can happen if it's got magnetic field in it, right? It can produce radio waves because of the metal that it's made from. It can absorb radio waves and then resonate as well, can't it? So, remember the rocks that can power a LED light? You get rocks that absorb radio signals from the air, from human transmitters, and you can actually connect a couple of wires to this rock and it will power LED, which are low voltage, obviously. I mean low voltage and also low amperage, so you can do it with a device like that. So that's not really mysterious at all. What the heck was it? Mrs. Betz then called the US Navy based strictly across the water from the island, and asked if they could examine it. Perhaps it was theirs. Yep, it's possible. Fell off a ship and floated out to sea and then onto the beach. They did so, but returned it to the Betzies once they verified that it was not Navy property. They x-rayed it and did a metallurgy, how do you say that word? Metallurgy, I don't know how you say it. Metal test, pretty much.
Metallurgical.
Okay, fair enough. Test and found it to be high grade yet common stainless steel. And of course, stainless steel just means it doesn't rust, because steel normally rusts. Hollow with a shell approximately 1/2 inch thick, about 13 millimeters. Measured 9.96 inches, that's almost 8 inches in diameter, and weighed 21.34 pounds, which is almost 9.7 kgs. The numbers added up. That was the right weight for that much stainless steel. The surface was scuffed but seamless, with only one identifier mark, a tiny triangle about 3 millimeters long. Okay, I'm not sure if we got a picture of that triangle. Following the wave of newspaper reports, so let's see if we can actually Betz sphere triangle. Let's see. There we go. We've got an image here. Is it? Or is that a makeshift one? Well, anyway, there's a triangle. Kind of looks like something that would be stamped by a manufacturer, or to mark center of gravity or something like that. What looks of it, for alignment purposes. But anyway, we'll just get back to the story. Following the wave of newspaper reports, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, a ufologist and astronomer at Northwestern University in Chicago, contacted the Betz family and asked to examine the ball. However, since he was all the way up in Chicago and they were all the way down Florida, nobody wanted to take the risk of shipping it. But as luck would have it, Dr. Hynek was in New Orleans, LA, the following week for a meeting with the National Enquirer tabloid, which was establishing a $50,000 prize for definitive proof of aliens. Since Hynek and several other scientists on the inquiry panel were all there, Terry Betz and his sister drove out from Florida to show them the ball in person. So I'll just read to my computer to read out some of it here. Just read that bit out.
Hynek's 1972 book, The UFO Experience, A Scientific Inquiry, had made him perhaps the most popularly known ufologist of the day. But on the Betz sphere, his verdict was a disappointing one. According to a report in the St. Petersburg Independent, Hynek says none of the 5 scientists now think the ball is anything but man-made. None will go so far as to say it's extraterrestrial, he said in an interview yesterday. They would be putting their scientific reputations on the line.
Okay. So, let's read that bit out too. Let's see, it's playing up. And then I'll read out the next bit. Come on.
So if the ball was man-made, what was it, and how could it exhibit such strange behavior? When I first heard of the story, I immediately thought of the bladder tanks used on spacecraft. These stout metal spheres contain a flexible bladder full of rocket fuel such as hydrazine, and the sphere is filled with pressurized gas to keep a constant squeeze on the bladder. When fuel is needed, the valve opens and the fuel squirts out. These tanks have a reputation for surviving when spacecraft deorbit and burn up on re-entry. One fell on Namibia in 2011, generating some headlines, and reporters noted that there have been many other such cases over the decades.
Okay, so I've covered this in the past about fuel tanks falling from the space. Rockets there, second stages, they have these little spheres with the gas, where it was the gas had it, and hydrogen and oxygen, and other chemicals they use for rocket fuel, oxidizers. But yes, eventually they do fall back to Earth if they're in low orbit. Let's see. I think I've got one. Spheres keep falling from space. But in this case, this one doesn't fit these spheres from space. Where is it? Getting harder and harder to find stuff the more I keep adding to it. Maybe it was called Spaceballs or something. I know Security was one that was promoting these things as being alien in origin. Plasma balls. Where can I find it? Just I'm not going to be able to find it for some reason. Maybe I should call it Spaceballs. I don't know. The Google search is getting worse, I think. I wonder if it's got wildcard. Spaceballs. Here we go. Is that the one? Spaceballs keep falling. This one here. I'll just post a link to it if you've not watched it before. And you can see it's got Secure Team's logo there. Spaceballs. But he mixed space junk with other things. So that episode I show what they are. Concretions, as it's called. So we'll just go back to the story. But yeah, I'll just find a quick picture of one. Rocket fuel tanks. Tank. They normally got like carbon fiber on the outside. There you go. There's one here. NASA. So a rocket has these spheres in it like here, with the gas in it. Of course what happens is, if it ends up as junk in space, it breaks up and eventually they fall down to Earth. And I suppose if you'd be unlucky if it landed on your head, because they'll be quite strong and kill you. Or your house. But apparently quite a few of them are dropping from space. Russian rockets, I think, mostly. I think there's been a couple in Russia. Probably have to put UFO or something in, probably, to find it. Spheres. Here we go. So these are all the different spheres that people find on the ground, right? And those ones look like there might be small 8-inch ones. But you can see a lot of these are really big. That one looks quite big. That's not a bowling ball size, obviously. But yeah, you wouldn't want that to fall on your head, would you? There's a bowling ball size, 10-pin bowling that is, not the lawn bowling as the rest of the world talk about. It's 10-pin bowling, normally it's America. That one's got a big hole punched into it. Yeah, but they're dropped in certain places like China, Russia. Can't tell from this though without clicking all the different locations. But that's what he's talking about now, here. So he's talking about bladder tanks are usually a little bigger and lighter than the Betz sphere, but they're in the general ballpark. However, they have obvious couplings. As you can see, they've got holes in the side with valves attached to it, and obviously also lugs on them to bolt them onto the skin of the ship and all that sort of stuff. Or the framework of the ship, as I say. And the Betz sphere's only marking was too small and completely inconsistent with a large valve coupling. It was not a bladder tank. Okay. Some authors also, following the assumption that it fell from outer space, have suggested that it was Sputnik. So what's Sputnik? Everyone should know what that is. The Russian first satellite. Sputnik. How do I spell that? I spelled it wrong. Sputnik. Yeah, there we go. And that's what Sputnik was. Just a thing they put in orbit because they could, and from the antennas here it was transmitting radio waves so they can pick it up on a FM radio or AM radio, probably an AM radio. It's got longer, AM goes out longer distances. You think they'd broadcast some music from space, that would have been pretty cool. Rather than the beep, beep, beep. What's the point of that? They could have made it into something practical, I guess. Like have a tape on it that plays on loop or something. But yeah, so that's what he's talking about now. Outer space, Sputnik, like satellite, there was largely based on what Carl Wilson had said, that it transmitted a radio signal, but the ball was a poor match. Of course it is. Looking at the pictures anyway. It had no antennas, rivets, mechanical connections, or anything. So basically all they saw was a nice polished sphere with a triangle on it. Apparently there was the fire must have heated it up and burnt the shrub around or the grass down, so they saw the ball hanging around. More prosaic explanations have also been offered that perhaps it was a pig used for cleaning out big pipes, or a mandrill bull used in bending conduct. Is it conduit? How do you say it? Bending.
Bending conduit.
Conduit. It's one of those tricky words. So, a pig. Have you ever done a pig? I suppose it's because it's round. But they're normally oval as well and have little grooves in it. So basically, they tie a cable on it and pull it through the pipe, and it sort of scrubs the inside of the pipe. Which oil and gas industry probably use for crude oil pipes that get clogged up, maybe. So a pig pipe cleaner. Let's have a look. Probably got no decent pictures of it. Piggin they call it. What's the purpose of pipeline pig? A form of flow assurance for oil and gas pipes, and flowliness pipe that ensures the line is running smoothly. A maintenance tool. Pipeline pigs are introduced into the line via a pig trap, which includes a launcher. So I wonder if we've got any pictures of that or videos. Okay, so I guess this is a pig. So that one's not even round. You can see it's obviously got some things that spin around, scrubbing the inside of the pipe. That one looks more like a dumbbell over of foam. But there's another one that's rubber by the looks of it. And you can see these pipes are quite big, so it fits the 8-inch. And these ones look like bullets. And you can see they've got some ones that look like balls down here too. I wonder if they put the ball in the pipe and then put pressure flow, like some liquid, and it pushes the ball along, sort of knocking down any debris that's sort of built up on the inside. Probably there's probably another way to do it. So I suppose that's what they mean in this article. So it could be some cleaning device. But I've actually looked a wee bit more into it and looked at the things. So there's another list of things. For all different size pipes. Definitely various balls, shapes. Sphere pigs, here we go. Pigs, I mean not pigs. Yeah, it's got little brushes and grooves. Kind of doesn't make sense though, because these ones don't look so smooth as the Betz sphere. So it doesn't make sense. It's going to be a cleaning thing. So let's just carry on the story. So I'll just get it to read it out.
Of course, the best way to answer this question is to actually re-examine the ball today, using modern techniques. Certainly it must still exist somewhere. Whatever became of the Betz sphere? Unfortunately, I couldn't find any record of the ball, or of Terry Betz himself, from recent years. But all those newspaper reports did ring bells with a few people.
Okay, so this people are asking what's happened to the family since. They sort of went off the grid, and I think they still got the sphere, from what I read elsewhere. But yeah, 1974 to technology today, I think we could X-ray it better and use MIR scans, or whatever it's called, CAT scans, image resonance, see what's inside it better. And maybe sonograph even, or whatever. There's all sorts of things we can do now. Spectro analysis.
The Palm Beach Post reported on April the 18th that Lottie Robinson recognized the ball from the pictures, then went and got her own out of the garage where it had sat for some 15 years. Technicians from the St. Regis Company paper mill identified it as a ball check valve from some large pipes used in their factory, and that had been scrapped 15 years before. Somehow that ball had found its way from a scrap dealer to Mrs. Robinson's son, and from there to her garage. It was very close, but not identical, in size and weight to the Betz sphere.
Okay, so they're talking about a ball check valve. which makes total sense, and that's what I researched, but I'll probably go over it more at the end to show you what a ball check valve is. A lot of people said it was a ball valve, and of course there's a lot of ball valves. There's ones that you put in the pipe, they've got a hole straight through the middle, which you attach to a handle and you turn it around inside the pipe, and it closes. It's like a closing door. It just closes off the valve. It could be automatic or it could be manual. But there's all sorts of ball designs used in piping, and that's probably the most logical answer, but I'll go over it just to prove to you that it probably is what that guy said it was here. Technicians from St. Vegas Company Paper Mill identified the ball check valve. So obviously paper mill uses water flow, and they probably have to prevent also backflush, which they have a ball inserted into the pipe. So if the water goes back the other way, it pushes the ball down, stops it going back the other direction. But I'll go over that in a minute and see if it matches up. I'll read out the rest of it here. So not too many around tonight then. Thought there might be more on tonight.
Seeing this, Robert Edwards, president of a Jacksonville, FL Equipment Supply Company, picked up the phone. He showed the UPI reporter a brand new stainless steel ball, manufactured by Bell & Howell in Bridgeport, Court. Edwards and the reporter uncrated it, weighed and measured it, and found that it was 8 inches across and weighed just over 21 pounds. Exactly the same as the Betz Sphere.
The only thing they haven't explained here, though, is the magnetic properties of it and why it moved around. So we've got to come up to that in a minute. Also, they found that it had a hole cut into it, which was welded back shut and what do you call it? Grinded down, made it all smooth again and recoated. So with chrome, I guess, so it doesn't rust. Obviously, stainless steel is going to be used with water flow, isn't it? Because it's going to rust otherwise and dirty the water, which is going to ruin your product that you use the water with, or kill the people that are drinking it, or whatever. So I'll just keep reading out more of this here. Save me having to do it. It's quite a lot of reading.
I'm not saying that this thing didn't come from outer space, because I've never seen it, said Edwards. All I'm saying is that the physical description of it matches exactly the type of ball we have in stock. The Navy metallurgist had identified the ball as being made of an alloy called stainless steel 431. According to the website of a supplier of this alloy, 431 has been successfully used in a variety of aircraft and general industrial applications. These include fasteners, bolts, valve components and chemical equipment.
Yeah, I don't think it would be for a plane though. Could be on board ships where they might have a ball valve and on a pipe, maybe an oil tanker, maybe. But like the guy said, it's looks very similar to what they used in the paper mill in the same area. So, which obviously after a while get replaced. The piping with the ball and it gets put on the scrapyard, so they create a new chunk of pipe with a new ball valve in it. So yeah, amazing properties. So here we go, we get to the amazing properties.
But how could a ball with such amazing properties, moving by itself, rolling uphill, making organ music, and transmitting radio signals, be just an ordinary piece of industrial machinery? There are many published news reports of the incident, and from these reports, we can glean that what the Betzes reported at the time is considerably less remarkable than what is now claimed on some of the paranormal websites that promote the Betz Sphere as an alien artifact. For one thing, The ball sat quietly on display inside the Betz home for nearly 2 weeks, and is not reported to have ever moved on its own at all, except for when someone took it down to experiment with it. Neither the US Navy nor J. Allen Hynek reported observing the ball do anything unusual whatsoever. Neither corroborated Carl Wilson's assertion that it had odd magnetic properties, or that it was broadcasting a radio signal. The only thing Hynek and his fellow Inquirer panelists noted was that it rattled when shaken.
So I'm not too sure how accurate that is, but what he's saying here is, looks like the story, like most newspapers, it gets added extra information to it. It makes it more sound spooky, sensationalized. So sounds to me like none of these guys saw anything special with the ball, which changes the whole story now, doesn't it? So, but I've got a thing on the MUFON database which counteracts that. I think it's on Buff Top Secret here, which is kind of strange. I think it's here, but we'll come back to that. So maybe it did have magnetic properties, and maybe Hynek didn't test for it, and maybe the Navy didn't either. So, actually I think it says the Navy did here, so we'll come back to that. So this is where you got to be careful of maybe the story's not being fully accurate. Okay, so how about the movement of the ball? Come on. Published reports. Whereabouts to be finished up with? Movement, I think. Or did we miss a chunk here? Inquiry panelists noted that it rattled when shaken. So there's something loose inside, obviously. Yeah. Would you shake a alien floating sphere? I don't think so. But you might want to try and break it open and see what's inside it. Or at least cut a hole in the side of a welding or angle grinder or something.
Regarding the ball's movement, the Navy's spokesman Chris Benning concluded, "I believe it's because of the construction of the house. It's old and has uneven stone floors. The ball is almost perfectly balanced, and it takes just a little indentation to make it move or change direction." The Betz story even has an elegant thread that ties it full circle, which is not something we always find on Skeptoid, how the ball came to be on Feet George Island in the first place. After the story broke, a Coca-Cola delivery man saw some similar-looking spheres in a sculpture outside the hotel managed by artist James Dulling Jones in Taos, New Mexico. He called Dulling Jones' attention to the newspaper stories about the Betz sphere. Soon, reporters were calling him to ask about his 8-inch stainless steel globes. It turns out he had several sculptures that used them, including a kinetic sculpture using one as a pendulum.
Okay. So that could also explain why it's got magnets inside. He may have cut it open, stuck a magnet inside so you could stick the 8-inch balls together, but like those suspended magnets, right? So maybe he had modified it and then was transporting it, and somehow it got lost. Maybe it got stolen from his supplies, who knows? So there's a possibility there. So you got magnetic spheres. You can buy them from China, but these are not big balls, but you can get ones for gardens that can hang like a wind chime outside. Let's see what images we get. So these ones are quite fun. I've got actually a collection of them too. Something you put on your table, muck around with. But not good to be around, obviously, hard drives and stuff. or laptops, especially laptops because the hard drives are small. Outside spheres. What's the big ones here? I like how you can get different colours now. That's pretty cool. It's amazing what you can get now. Not always cheap though. I think mine come in a little tin like that in a tin. 3mm ones, they're not really big. So garden, let's see what we got for garden. There we go. So we've got ones that sit on the ground. They look nice and stainless steel, or chrome, or both. Yep, same picture there. But you can get ones that are suspended, because I've seen it. I have to search on it. So suspended. Is my audio working alright there, guys? Yes, it is. I haven't checked. I normally check just in case. So you can also get spinning earths or spheres between two magnetic poles. Of course, they've got magnets at the poles there that sort of helps it hover in between. They're not cheap. And of course, third phase of the moon got shown by a company, a new one, which has a rotating gyroscope magnet in the middle, and it actually spins around on a little stand. Hovers above, I think it hovers above the stand, like a bit like this here, but you don't need the bit over the top. It's like a new idea. I have covered it in the past, a bit like this one here, but way better. I don't think it needed any platform underneath it, actually, now I think about it. I think it could use the Earth's magnetic field just to hover. I'll see if I can find it, actually. But yeah, I was looking for garden ones, wasn't I? And it hasn't come up. But you can get ones like this that hang down from trees. What else? I suppose we're not going to be able to pin it right now. Suspended. Here's one here. Magnetic levitation hanging ball. So you can get them quite big. What was that other thing called? Is that the one there? No, I don't think that's the one. Can't remember what it's called now. Renee might know. What is it? Moon and Earth. Levitating. Let's see. Was that the one? I don't think it needed a stand. Like these ones do, but that's the old idea. I'll just to search what they're called now. Death Star. Anyway. We'll look for it another time, I guess. I think it... I don't know if I can find it or not. Levitating... if... or something like that. Yeah, I don't know what keyword we're going to need. So, well, we'll just leave it. But no, I've got an episode showing it. Pretty cool. Not very cheap though. So we go back to the rest of it. Yeah. So where do we get to? Sculpture. Okay. So what they're saying about the sculpture. Like I was saying, that it sounds to me like maybe it was one of the balls that he modified with a magnet so he could just hang it like a pendulum. So as possible. Just read out that chunk.
He'd made a run a few years back in his Volkswagen bus, collecting scrap metal for his sculptures. A friend had supplied him with a number of balls from large industrial ball check valves at his company, in two sizes, some 8-inch balls weighing about 22 pounds, and some 10-inch balls weighing about 70 pounds. Having no room left inside the VW, Dueling Jones put the balls on a luggage rack up on top. He drove through the Jacksonville area around Easter of 1971, at which time a few of the balls rolled off the luggage rack and were lost. And there it sat for 3 years until the Betzes happened along. Dueling Jones even explained the rattle noted by Hynek. The rattle comes from trying to patch the sphere. The company drills the spheres and re-welds them before machining them again. Sometimes some of the milling or drilling chips drop inside. Is it really so hard to believe that an entire family could misinterpret something as obvious as a ball rolling on an uneven floor? The more I research weird reports on Skeptoid, the less surprised I am with people making such flagrant misinterpretations. Keep in mind that we live in a world where people see the face of Jesus in just about every smudge, where conspiracy theories and science denial run rampant, and where most people believe in ghosts and angels. People are also fooled every day at so-called mystery spot attractions where balls or cars seem to roll uphill. That the spheres rolling might have struck the family as extraordinary is not a new or unlikely circumstance.
Plus, if it's well balanced, any little breeze coming through the floor would make it move around, of course. So, yeah. Not really well verified, is it? With levels and laser levels and all that sort of stuff. But it does make sense. So I think he's talking about Jesus, you know, that piece of cheese on toast that someone made a little pattern of Jesus Christ's head on it, and someone was selling it on eBay. So let's have a look what he says here. So it sounds pretty well debunked there, doesn't it? So, but as I see on Twitter, which is the reason I'm bringing this story up again, is they're still talking about it and talking about other spheres they've got on their property. Well, obviously a lot of these ball valves are used everywhere, especially around America, because they've got a lot of oil wells and all that sort of stuff, right? So they probably have to have an automatic pressure valve in it to stop the oil going back down. They call it a black backflow valve. So it could have been their ones could be man-made as well. Well, if it's rolling around a property, it's obviously not hovering like a UFO, and it's obviously not metamaterial. If it's made from stainless steel, right? So there's nothing special there.
So was the Betz sphere indisputable evidence of a UFO? We can say, conclusively, that nothing ever linked it to anything unearthly. Perhaps it was just the ball from a check valve that it appeared to be. But if believers in the strange need to attach a mysterious origin to the Betz sphere, they're going to have to make do with the fact that it fell to Earth not from an alien spacecraft, but from a nightly passing Volkswagen bus. And it's almost as good.
So that's the end of the article. I'll post it down the side there for anyone that wants to go over it again. But that's on Skeptoid, and it doesn't mean that he's entirely not missed something, of course. But that's why you look at other reports. So you can close that one down now. So this is the thing for MUFON, which I couldn't find. I wonder if it was in a magazine or something. So I'll just read out this, because this is quite interesting. Might just try the American voice on this one. Where is it?
I have been reading lately about the mysterious sphere that was found in 1974 by people investigating a brush fire on Fort George Island, east of present-day Jacksonville, Florida. This metallic spherical object was recovered by the Betz family during their investigation of the brush fire. It weighs about 22 lbs and is silver in color. On the surface is the stamp of a triangle, and there are no other markings or weld seams that would indicate it as a man-made artificial object. Numerous strange things were noticed about the sphere, such as its ability to stop on its own after being rolled and changing directions, returning to the person that rolled it. According to the Betz family, it even seemed to react to atmospheric conditions, reacting differently to a bright sunny day as compared to an overcast rainy day. The sphere was tested by the United States Department of the Navy, finding that the mystery sphere was made of stainless steel with nickel as a component. They discovered by X-ray analysis that the sphere contained two round objects within, with a halo material made of a strange density. It had 4 different magnetic poles, 2 positive and 2 negative, which were not concentric. They noticed that it was extremely magnetic, but showed no evidence of any form of radiation. On April 13, 1974, Dr. Carl Wilson of the Omega-1 Institute out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana studied the sphere, realizing that radio waves were also emanating from the object, as well as the sphere having its own magnetic field.
Okay. So as we talked about before, it's not unusual for stuff to emit radio waves. Electromagnetic energy, right? So even our bodies probably emit low radio waves, certainly brain waves anyway. Okay, so that's not the bit I wondered, so it must be further down. So that was a recap of what we were looking at before. There we go, Skyhook, the UFO Monthly, May 1974. So it sounds like it was in a magazine. I found the second source. Okay, so let's read out that bit. Go back to the Pommy guy, because I think it reads out a wee bit better. And this one talks about the poles again. Come on. Why is it not clicking?
I finally found a second source for some of the information in the Ops Mysterious Universe website link. Skylook, the UFO Monthly, MUFON UFO Network, May 1974. This gives enough information to make some double-check calculations. Using the data confirmed by this source and the Ops link, the sphere shell is 7.96 inches, 202.2 millimeters in diameter, made of magnetic aspen alloy 431 stainless steel, approximately 1/2 inch, 12.7 millimeters thick, and weighted 21 pounds and 34 pence, 9.68 kilograms. Using the known density of stainless steel alloy 431, 7,700 kilograms/m3, a 202.2mm external diameter sphere with a 180.33mm internal diameter, 10.93mm or 0.430 inch wall thickness, would exactly weigh 9.68 kilograms. Considering these stories were filtered through mainstream media, MSM, I can see where a thickness of 0.43 inches would be reported as about 1/2 inch. I also investigated the X-ray source voltage needed to expose objects internal to a 11mm thick stainless steel sphere and found that at least a 300 kV X-ray would be required consistent with the original story. See more information here. Industrial X-ray. At this point in my analysis, what concerns me is that just the sphere shell equals the reported weight, leaving no room for the masses of internal components. Lacking more scientific data, my calculations suggest something could be wrong with this story, but do not prove anything. Next, I compared the details reported by MUFON in May 1974 and the OPS Mysterious Universe (MU) story and found several discrepancies. The MUFON story reports the sphere being found on April 6, 1974, but the MU story reports it being found on May 26, 1974, then contradicts this date by reporting on a St. Petersburg Times story run on April 12, 1974, and contradicts this date again by reporting 1976 as the year for paranormal research. The MUFON story reports that the Navy examined the sphere a few days after April 6, 1974, but the MU story reports the Navy contacted the Betz family, and the first MSM story did not run until April 12, 1974. And the inconsistencies continue. The MUFON story reports Mrs. Betz told MUFON director Walt Andrus the sphere has 3 or 4 smaller spheres inside with its north and south magnetic poles separated by 150 degrees, while the MU story reports the Navy X-ray images showed 2 round objects inside and that it had 4 magnetic poles, 2 positive and 2 negative, plus and, versus N and S. I will stop my discrepancy analysis here because it proves nothing except stories rewritten many times over 35 years can always be expected to contain some factual errors.
Okay. So that sort of confirms some of the last article, but also puts some extra information there. So the Navy X-ray showed 2 round objects. So I've actually got some pictures here of the X-ray, and here it is here. Using it under fair use. So these are the X-ray pictures. Not the best quality, is it, compared to what we could do today. So there's the 2 round objects inside. But what's this one here? Is that a third one? That's looks like it's not complete. Nice round circle. But if it's magnetic, right? How's it sort of staying? I suppose it rolls around inside, does it? It's a bit hard to tell. Can't see any suspension inside there. Whether it's got any rubber or plastic that sort of keeps it centralized. But with an X-ray, you can't tell that sort of stuff. You need an MIR scan. So it could be some material there that's sort of keeping it centralized. Maybe some rubber bands, maybe. It's a bit hard to know. So how would they magnetize it using other spheres inside? And that's possible because you can buy the magnetic ferrous metal things from China, right? We just looked at it before. The question is, why would you want to do it? Well, maybe these 2 little bits are actually broken off this one in the middle here, even. Because when he drilled the ball, he may have stuck in like a magnetized sphere to roll around inside, so he can then hook it up to another sphere and dangle it on his sculpture that they talked about there, the artist. So that sort of makes sense. I don't know if there's any other pictures. Here's a picture of the ball there. It kind of looks like it's gold there rather than silver. There's the triangle one again, a little triangle symbol on it, which might suggest up this way and alignment, right? So it makes sense. Or it could be just like an artistic scratch on it for his sculpture. So we got some old pictures again of the family. So yeah, it's not too much there, but that was the X-rays anyway. So it matches up with the statement there before of the two round objects inside with 4 magnetic poles. So not too sure how that works with the two things. 2 positive, 2 negative, so that's like a bar magnet. And the other one says sphere had 3 or 4 smaller spheres inside with its north and south magnets. Poles separated by 150 degrees. So that's totally different again, right? But if it's loose inside, I can see how it could probably change if it rattled, right? Definitely, it could be 3 things in there. So maybe the Navy guys didn't actually see the big one in the middle there. Kind of confusing. So that's why it probably needs to be analysed again and better investigated. But clearly it's not going to be alien technology. I don't think the Navy would have given it back if they felt something was unusual about it and not man-made. It's a bit interesting why the dates would have changed too. That makes no sense whatsoever. Why would they have incorrect dates? Makes no sense. So yeah, so not much there apart from what we already knew. Apart from the magnets. And of course here's NICAP. NICAP PDF, UFO Investigator, May 1974. A report from NICAP, I think it was. Let's have a look. NICAP Regional Investigator George T. Sassin Jr. X-rayed with 150 kV, but that last article said 300, so that's kind of strange. The unit was inadequate to penetrate. Oh, right, there you go. So they needed a bigger one, 300. There we go. X-ray on a 300 machine showed the sphere to be uniformly hollow, with some inclusions and containing 1/8 inch ball and 2 or 3 balls, each 1/16. So I didn't actually see 3 balls, but definitely there was 2. But that could then make sense having 4 poles then, couldn't it? 2 poles, because 2 objects, right? Those 2 objects could be have a north and south magnetism on them. And what's it say up here? There was a plug, so this is the first time we've heard this. There was a plug that's 1/4 to 3/8 inch diameter welded into the side. So once you hear the word welded, it doesn't sound like alien technology, because we know that they have seamless metamaterial skins, if you listen to all the stories out there. This could explain the internal peculiarities. Surface finish was described as about 126. What's that say there? Micro inches. Badly abraded, and if it had been rolled on concrete and had a small triangle chip missing. So the triangle thing is actually a chip. No, telling us now, not actually a stamp. So that changes the story, doesn't it? So it's a triangle bit of the chrome, obviously chipped off the steel ball, is what they're saying there. Triangle chip. There was no identifying marks such as letters, numbers. Since the 431 stainless steel metal is magnetic, the poles were located and marked by the laboratory. The sphere was apparently perfectly balanced and did not exhibit any unusual behavior on the flat surface. So what are they saying? That how was the sphere magnetic though? Can you, this point, can you magnetize stainless steel? I think you can magnetize anything. Even carbon. Can you magnetize steel? An electrical current flowing through a core creates a magnetic field which will magnetize any ferromagnet metal placed inside. But how would you give it 4 poles? That's the question. Can you magnetize steel sphere? Makes sense to open it up and put some form of other magnets inside though, than to magnetize the big 8-inch though. If it's made of the right type of steel, there are types that cannot be magnetized. It is below the Curie temperature, and you put it in a big enough magnetic field, it can be magnetized and easily as steel now or any other piece of steel. Spherical ball bearing. So we're seeing that with the Chinese one, but they're solid. So yeah, again, that's not too clear, is it? How it was magnetized. Was it something inside? Was the ball magnetized? What else we got? I'll just post the PDF there. NICAP. Who were NICAP? Actually, we'll just look that up. Yeah, spending a lot of time just on this one, but we'll move it to the other things I'm going to cover, hopefully. National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomenon was founded in the 1950s, so that's where Hynek comes in. It wasn't then taken over by Blue Book or something like that, so can't quite remember. I think Blue Book replaced, or did NICAP replace Blue Book? Replaced by Blue Book. See if it comes up. Someone will know out there. This is where Robert comes in handy. He knows all this. He knows the order of all these different organisations. What's that one say? Project Blue Book became the major Air Force effort to study UFOs. It was signed from NICAP 1962 and released the materials relating to. Maybe they run at the same time, maybe. A subcommittee or whatever. Anyway, I know Robert would know. I think Dolan might even ran down how the order worked as well at some stage. Let's see. So we're pretty almost done with this one. The sphere also examined by 5 scientists, yet we know this. Sphere turned up in Betz' backyard. The most logical speculation to date concerning its use is that the sphere was part of a valve used in moving corrosive liquids for a plant where wood chips were converted into pulp. So again, we'll just cover that. So that's the most logical one answer. So we'll just close that down. And that we can do with. Okay, so this is where a ball valve is used in hydraulics. It's a similar idea. The ball obviously floats in the liquid coming up. It can be solid, it can be hollow, and the pressure comes in here. But if you get backflush here, it's going to fall back down. The spring here is going to push it back down, stop there being hydraulic backflow, blow down leads. So same idea. Put it inside a valve on a pipe where you got water coming in, or corrosive fluid that's used in the paper mill, and of course you don't want it to backflow from the other pipe going back into the tank. So why would they have magnets on it? Okay, so it might make sense to have magnets on it so you can actually have sensors on the outside. So probably could draw a picture. So it ends up being like an electronic switch. Oops, don't want that one. Like I said, we've got two theories. It could have been that he put magnets in it so it could be joined together like a magnetic sculpture outside in the garden. Or the factory may have put it in there as a way to control the sensors. So first of all we want a box that they've drawn there. And it's called a lift up ball valve. Obviously it lifts up with the pressure. So we've got the inlet coming in at the bottom and outlet outside. And obviously it can be quite big, 8-inch pipes, 10-inch pipes. And on a ball, we could do a 3-dimensional one I suppose. That simply doesn't move around too much. Fits nicely inside the square and blocks off the hole, right? So it's hollow. Obviously it's got air on it, so it's going to lift up and it's going to go up here, and when the flow comes back down this way, or the flow reduces this way, it goes back down, stops the flow. But what they could do is they make these a bit higher up, so it goes a long way up here, and once it gets too high, because it's got maximum flow in, then you want a way to detect sensors on it. So what you do is you magnetize it like they said in the article. Here's some science stuff. Let's see. Let's draw. So they got some balls inside, which they may have been, like I said, it could have been put at certain locations in the ball, and somehow they got loose, maybe some rubber or something that was holding them in place. And there could have been another one in the middle here, they said, as well. Or maybe in 3-ball arrangement or something. But yeah, they could have some sensors up the top here. As this goes up here, you could have a sensor up the top. What can we draw for that? Just draw that one. Which detects the magnetic field as this approaches upwards. It can send a signal to the control room or a piece of cable. That's to slow down the flow of liquid coming in. So you've got the liquid flow coming in here. Like so. Sends off to the control room where they automatically control the flow in, so it doesn't put too much into maybe a tank or something like that. So that kind of makes sense why it would have magnets in it. Hopefully that explains it to you scientifically. I'm surprised they didn't actually mention that. Because there's a thing called a reed switch. Probably been around for a long time. So I'll post that picture there on the side. A lift-in ball valve. So it's a lot better to have a picture than words, because people don't know what you're talking about otherwise. And that's the problem with these articles. Because if you type in ball valve, you get these ones, which is kind of confusing. Like these ones here that have a little ball inside that turns with a lever, and one's got a hollow straight through it. So that's called a ball valve, right? So it's not that one. It's a check valve, as they call it. Sometimes they have it in a glass clear, what do you call it, tube on some things with air compression, and they have little plastic balls that go up and shows you how much air pressure it is. I'm not sure if we've got any ones that we can do. Air pressure check valve. These ones here, where the ball is there with a spring. But that's not what I'm looking for though. You get little glass tubes that you can see the valve going up as you squirt the gun on the air compressor. You can see it on painters' things as well, I think. Airbrushing. Also, I'm not going to get a picture of it, but I think you understand what I mean. So it goes up here, but because it's a metal one, it makes sense to put magnets in it. So you've got a thing called a reed switch. So reed switch. A switch is an electronic switch operated by applied magnetic field. So we've got images of it. So here you go. Just have one of these at the top of the pump, the liquid pump. And so as that ball gets too high up, it triggers it and slows down the flow of the liquid again. When it goes back to normal again, increases the flow again. So it's like an automatic valve. It's a wee bit like the thing you have in your toilet system. What do you call them in America? You call them bathrooms, but you have a ball and cock, as it's called, on a lever, and it's got air in it, and as it flushes, the lever goes, or liver, or whatever you guys call it over there, goes downwards, and then it lets more water into the tank, and it fills up until the ball's level again, and then it shuts off the valve. So that's another idea, but that's using mechanical levers, and we're talking about electronic sensors and control systems. So it's got a picture here how a reed switch works. It simply makes the two little bits of metal inside stick together. So that could be like even a sensor to send off to a flashing light to a control room. So that's my idea. That's what I've come up with. I've added that to the story. So hopefully you like my explanation. What was part 2 of the thing? Was it Hong Kong? I think it might have been the Hong Kong one. So we'll look at that one next. So where is Hong Kong? There's all sorts of problems there at the moment because it used to be owned by Britain, or was leased from China when things were a bit happier, and they had like a so many year lease on the island, and it got released a few years back, and now it's got the oppressive Chinese rule that wants to control the internet and all that sort of stuff. Hong Kong, and the people don't like it. They want the Western way. No censorship. Are you listening, Google? Don't censor. Do not cripple our channel. My channel's been really crippled lately. I used to get like 300, 400 views every 24 hours, 48 hours. And now it's down to about 100, so something's going on. So, Hong Kong. Down the bottom here. Off the mainland. Not too sure what the story is, how the English got to Hong Kong. Taiwan. And Russia's up here somewhere too. Big landmass. So there it is. Can we get right down to the island? How do we get rid of the thing around the outside of it? Oh, there we go. Shanghai. Let's see, how did the British get to lease Hong Kong? History lesson. The Alien Quan dynasty leased the new territories to Britain for 99 years, starting 1st of July 1898. The new additions were to make up 90% of Hong Kong's land mass. Both sides believed the new lands would remain British forever, along with the original colonial possessions of Hong Kong. So yeah, goes on a bit. So obviously they leased it because they wanted some money. But why would the British want it though? Maybe for a trade thing for ships, I suppose. That would make sense. And a landing place for planes. And then obviously a military base or something probably. But anyway, we'll move on. We won't do a history lesson there. So this is the video in question, and I'll just start playing some of it. Play it slightly slower so we can see, because it's not very long. I still might have to slow it down a bit. Let me just see it's going to the right audio. It wasn't. Okay, let's have a go.
The footage of the UFO. Okay. If you just bear with me. There you go. There you go. Look at that. Descending on the top of that building. Then hovers about for a second or two and shoots vertically straight up in the sky.
Yeah, so that's the best footage we've got. Looks like it's on a LCD screen of a news report. It is an old case from 2014. And we could see there was something in the picture there. He's saying it's on top of this building. I say that's BS. So we'll just play that again. slow it down even more and just mute him. And we'll see if we can see it on this bit better. And where's it coming to frame? Where is it? Huh? What happened there? Let's try again. He hasn't got it lined up very well or focused. So where does it come into frame? Oh, there it is. So where did it come from there? It looked like it come from behind this building here on the left with the blue lights. So that means it's closer than what he's saying. So it's a small object just from behind this building on the left. You can see it's not a round thing, it looks more oblong. So it's not on that building at all. So we know it's round about this, just behind this bridge here going across. Now, why wasn't a lot of people pointing up and filming it if it's a UFO? Plus people in those apartments there. And you can see it's going up very similar to what you would do with a drone. And obviously it goes out the top here. So that to me looks like one of these white drones with the camera on it. Hey, how's it going? And what is it? Just have to zoom out a bit. Can I get mod? What are you watching? We're watching the Hong Kong UAP. I think we may have lost Rene. We just finished doing a debunk or analysis with the Betz UFO case. So you'd have to go back and rewatch that. It's back up to 2 again. So I think it's just a simple drone that news channels use. On that one. Where's that one out here? Oh, that was. Don't need that now. Did I close it accidentally? My web page disappeared. Where's it disappeared to? Oh, somehow it's gone to the other screen. How the hell did it get over there? See, this is the problem with Windows 10. You click on a certain place and zooms off your window in all sorts of different directions. Especially if you've got 2 displays, right? So, yeah. So what did they have back in 2014? HD camera drones. They were quite expensive, so obviously not everybody would have had one. Probably news channels would have had them. Probably not going to get 2014, will we? Here we go. Quadcopters that give you a view from above. That's probably what we're looking at. Pretty old technology back then already. So I don't think it would have been that one, because it looked like it was all white in the picture. So, yeah. Is that all we got? Just one? Is there a next page? Drones. says 1 of 8 here. So how do we get the other images? Up next. Right. Oh, that's just annoying. How do we get the extra things? Beats me. It's probably because I've got the block on here. The stop ads. Oh, here we go. It's got a thing popping up. Okay, so this one looks more like it. So let's have a look at that again. Yeah, I don't normally just give away mods to people I don't know. That's a drone. The channel only used it for content, and if it would be in Hong Kong, many more would have to recorded it. Yeah, that's what I said. Okay, I'll give you mod rights just because I don't really. Well, you have to gain some trust, I guess. There you go. Does it put a spanner on you? Unless you comment, I can't see if it's got a spanner on it. Okay, so want to get a picture where it's closest. Probably in the open sky here. Let's see if we can zoom in on it anyway. Obviously, it's a LCD TV, probably a plasma TV back then, and filmed in portrait by a person that doesn't understand how to film stuff. You get lower quality when you do it that way. For some reason my stuff wants to go the other screen now. So let's see if we can zoom right in on it. Oh yeah, you got a mod. Okay, thanks for the sub anyway. So let's zoom in and see what we can see here. Not much by the looks of it. And even if we put it through a proper editor, probably won't be able to do much with it. Maybe I'll need to get another snapshot where it was coming into frame too. So I might do that. So that enhances it a wee bit better. Let's put some filters on it. We can do contrast. Obviously it's overexposed. It looks like a straight line bit going through the middle there though. Even on that low res quality. Does sort of have that shape that we're looking for. Let's see if we can zoom in. Looks like it might have similar shape to, a bit hard to tell though, to that one here. What else we got? I think that one's too thin for that distance. That one definitely is. I don't think it was that one. But it's possible. I don't see it. That would have been more of a blob going downwards though, I would have thought. Let's have a quick look closer up. Yeah, you can't really tell. Looks to me like it's more going horizontal than vertical. I think we can get a better image than that. I'll try again in a minute. What was the other ones? Just to check. No, that one's nice and big though. That's a strange looking one. That's on the ground. So that's it. So the second one there looked the best promise for that video. So let's see, we got when it comes into frame. Oh, too much soon. I suppose it's gone crazy now. Did I hit something? No. I got it on slow motion still. Oh, see, oh, about there would be good, I think, maybe. So yeah, not much video analysis you can do on that part from its motion, and obviously not much reports about it being a UFO. People would have known what it was. Could have lights on it, possibly, but that would run the battery dry probably quicker. And was that the year when they brought in the nice bright LEDs, the white ones? It's possible. Where's the second one? What's the date? 22, 20. So that's the latest one, isn't it? Let's see if that gives us anything. See, slightly different shape now. So plug it through the filters, and there we go. So that looks more like a long shape, doesn't it? Almost like a dumbbell shape, really. So that's probably pretty close to what we're looking at. It could be some lights on the end, I guess, but that's the best we're going to get. Need to go offline. Oh, you're leaving us already. Fair enough. It is 12:30 at midnight here, so I don't know what time it is where you're at. So, Twitter, people were saying that it wasn't a drone, but that's just nonsense. I posted a link here to the chat on my Hangouts. Here. A51S. Recently I had done a post on a UFO thing. This is part 2. The next link here shows the same device being used. It was not a mirage. This is not CGI like some have claimed. Same device, UFO, and he was saying it wasn't a drone. 2014 is 100% drone. Get a grip. Time for bed. I assume you meant recent protests until I see Huff, etc. was 2014. So also the drone's being used currently in the protests, but this was 2014. So what's that one? I'll just play that one quickly. We can't. Can I slow it down? Okay, so here's the drone. You can see how high it's about the same height as what we saw from the person with the smartphone filming it from a bridge or another apartment building, balcony maybe. And there's the bridge, almost similar bridge. So clearly 2014 there was a drone flown around for the news channels. There's another bridge. So probably could match it up with the buildings. You live in Finland. Oh no, you can have mod. As long as you don't delete other people's comments. I need more mods to stop people coming in trolling or swearing. We try and keep it pretty civil here. You don't have to agree with me, but you don't have to be nasty either. And of course, when I debunk people in videos, I tend to be as civil as I can. But other people tend to want to let the F word out. But yeah, you can see this one definitely fits from the drone viewpoint, doesn't it? It's coming this way, so obviously the camera that snapped it somewhere over here. There's that bridge, same bridge here, but it's on the other side of the bridge, so I think that's probably the same video where they captured it, to tell the truth. I think there might be a footage where it shoots upwards too. I'm not sure if it's in this one or another one. But it does fly upwards at one point. Oh, there you go, it's going down there. So obviously if it goes down, it will go up. But drones can fly quite fast upwards. That's pretty cool. So what else did I find? Alright, so he was saying it was this thing here of the floating city in the sky, which I'll cover next. And they're saying it's a mirage, which is incorrect. So he's saying it's some technology that projects a UFO in the sky, I guess, is what he's trying to say there. And he got a bit upset with me. I said, come on dude, you can see it's a drone. Okay, don't want to play that. I think I got the 2014 one here. 2014, another one, and a 2019 one at some stage. So it was like 4 in the morning when I was talking to him. So I thought I'd bring it up today, so that's what I'm doing. But have them in post. Let's see. Where is the have them in post? Here it is. So what was he saying on that one? This wasn't a UFO, it's even better. So he's saying it's like a projection, I guess, hologram, showing you this is not the first instance. I don't think he was saying it was a hologram either. I say it's a media drone. So Huffington Post, I then looked at the Huffington Post after looking at the video, and to see what they were saying here. Can't say I'm really a fan of Lee Spiegel, but he does do occasional good things. First, and this BBC caught it on camera. So it was on a BBC news report where the guy filmed it off the TV screen. Okay mate, see you later if you're going. I'm from Finland. What is the time in Finland at the moment? You can see the video they had here, I'm not sure if it was BBC, has been deleted. We might have some decent footage that we could work with, even better quality, but unfortunately not. The aerial object first appears on the left side of the screen, descends in front of the building and moves to the right towards another. So we saw that. I don't think it's too far-fetched to believe it's a drone, maybe one that's closer to the camera than we think, which is correct, said Ben Hansen. So Ben Hansen agrees with me, who's an ex-FBI guy, and also on the Fact and Fake paranormal debunking series. The lighting setup is a bit strange, but it could look like one on solid lights because of the distance. Yep. Hansen told HuffPost in an email, when these things want to go straight up, they can cruise really fast. The way it sort of wobble or float. Yeah, there was a stage where it sort of did wobble around. Have I still got it here? If I think it comes over here, it wobbles a wee bit. Which is typical of drone, right? Rather than the UFO losing control. Or projection going crazy. Come on. Oh, I got it really slow, haven't I? So it's somewhere near this thing here, which we saw from the other camera view where it was. But they cut off before it shoots upwards by the looks of it in the other footage. Then it goes back a wee bit, and then we don't see the rest of it. I think they must have cut the footage because then they fly upwards, don't they? I think it glitches. See, it glitched there a wee bit. Oh yeah, went off course a wee bit there. Going straight up. I wonder if they're on the balcony there on the building, or at the top of the building or something. People that are flying it. Anyway, it's pretty boring really. But it needed to be debunked. So, Ben Hansen said that, and also I think they go to MUFON expert Merc, which they have done here. I agree with Ben, the video appears to me to be a drone as well, said Mark D'Antonio of FX Models. They give him a plug to his website. The vertical acceleration is illustrated is not at all unreasonable. Some of these can really punch out of sight fast. Yep, they can too. The green lights are actually a bit of a standard green. I don't see any green lights on it though. So maybe they got better footage than we have. So it might have a blinking green light on it. At full charge and have GPS satellite uplink. Really? Satellite link up, not uplink. Link batteries. So they got a picture of one of these drones, but that's not the one we're looking at, I don't think. It's one of those big white ones in 2014. So yeah, I suppose we could post that down there. Post. Hong Kong drone. And if there was anything else that needed to be said here. The video was removed. You don't believe this to be a UFO? Is that correct? Yes, I've been told it wasn't a UFO, a drone or hologram, something else entirely. Ah, bollocks. Anyway, we'll just close that down. Move on to the next one, which is thing in the same area, but in China, not Hong Kong, and that's the floating city debunk. For that, I don't need to really debunk it, but I'll just play this really cool video here of Captain Disillusion. I just call him Captain D because it's easier to say. He's doing a lot better than me. He's got 1.6 million subs. He's like an expert CGI artist. So he should know what he's talking about when it comes to CGI. And this is the floating city debunk. So I don't think I've ever covered this one before. But we've talked about the floating ship mirages, which I'll just bring up again. Floating ship that's called or maybe just call it mirage. It's called what's it called now? It's got a special name. It'll come to me. Oh, here we go. Fata Morgana. I'm not sure if that's how you say it properly. But they got some images here. It shows things floating. And here you go. I've covered this before. Where you get these ones on the beaches where they say it looks like something floating above the sea level and it's not a blimp. Well, obviously it could be a fishing trawler far away. That's sort of bending the light upwards. Battleship there. Island, floating island. You get inverted even. Look at this crazy one. Oil tanker. That actually was on TV. This shows how optics can fool you, right? So, yeah. You could say UFOs are mimicking ships, and it's got a little diagram here. Talks about the layer inversions, how it works. And it's always at a certain height. It only goes to a certain height. As you can see, it's always a certain height because of the humid air content above the sea and lakes, of course. So, just move that up a bit. So we'll just play his little clip here. Hopefully we won't need to play all of it. Just play it a wee bit faster.
Clouds above the city.
Okay. Looks like the audio's gone to the wrong place again.
Of Foshan in the Guangdong province of China. Spoiler alert, it's not real. Blogs and news reports said it's an example of a rare, naturally occurring optical illusion, but I say it was a deliberate fake. So who's right? The media or a guy in a tracksuit? Well, let's start our investigation by consulting an expert on all things optical.
She told me she was 16! What?
Mr. Flair, what's your take on the floating city in China?
That. That was nothing more than a type of atmospheric mirage called Fata Morgana.
Really? And what is that exactly?
Well, it's a sort of like optical illusion, you know? It makes you see things that aren't there, like cities.
Uh-huh. You just saw the term Fata Morgana in a post by IFL Science and you're repeating it, aren't you?
No, I saw it in a post by The Independent.
Okay, so just carries on a bit there.
Online than abbreviations of branded website names.
Whoever originally broke the story about the floating city video had their heart in the right place. They probably wondered if there was a natural explanation for the event and googled the word mirage. After enjoying the various enticing offers from a hotel in Las Vegas, they saw basic information about how mirages work and that one rare type is called Fata Morgana. They must have liked its evocative name and immediately picked it for their story. And then, a great game of journalistic hot potato began as the claim bounced from blog to blog without any examination.
This is a type of superior mirage called a Fata Morgana. It can make objects appear like a city floating in the clouds. The same phenomenon happens when you're driving in your car on a hot day and you see what appears to be water or something liquid on the road in the distance.
Wrong. She didn't even read 4 lines down.
Yep. Fata Morgana is not the same as an ordinary superior mirage. Okay, so he's going to explain that now.
On Wikipedia, so maybe instead of trusting her, we should check what Fata Morgana actually is ourselves. Mirages happen when light is bent by layers of different temperature air along the Earth's surface. There are 2 types of mirages, inferior and superior. An inferior mirage is when stuff from above the horizon appears under the horizon line. A superior mirage is when stuff from below the horizon line appears above it. Fata Morgana is an extra shimmery, multi-layered type of superior mirage that occurs in rare atmospheric conditions. But mirages are not hallucinations. All they do is displace the view of things that are actually there to begin with. They can make patches of the sky appear as lakes on the desert floor, or make distant boats seem to hover above the ocean's surface, but they can't make a futuristic metropolis manifest out of nowhere in a modestly developed area. And by the way, all mirages, including Fata Morgana, can only appear very close to the horizon line, because that's the view at which the refractive properties of the different layers of air are most pronounced. No mirage can extend thousands of feet up, as in this video.
So if the floating city wasn't a Fata Morgana mirage, what was it?
So that's a key point there. So it's not a mirage. So what is it? He's going to tell us.
Well, either it was a real paranormal thing that appeared in the sky, or someone faked a video of it. What do you think, Paranormal Crucible?
This mysterious apparition was possibly the result of a Project Bluebeam test, or perhaps was a temporal vortex, a possible parallel universe materializing briefly into our own reality.
That sounds batshit crazy. Say something a little less crazy.
It is possible, considering China's technological achievements, that a top-secret holographic technology was tested over a heavily populated city in an effort to gauge the general public's reaction.
Okay, so the government did a secret test that they wanted the whole city to see. Initial reports did claim that this apparition was witnessed by thousands. Something so huge would have to be. But where are all these people? No eyewitnesses have been interviewed or quoted in any of the articles. No report can even specify exactly when this took place. Nowadays, when people mistake ordinary rocket launches for UFOs, which is kind of sad, we end up with tons of witness videos taken from different vantage points on YouTube within hours. But all images of the floating city come from a single, short, low-quality video clip. Where have I seen that before?
That leaves us with the least unlikely possibility. The video was faked using the dark art of visual effects, which happens to be my specialty.
Creating this short effects shot is so easy, you won't even feel bad when Ang Lee doesn't thank you for it in his Oscar acceptance speech.
Thank you, movie god.
We need to accomplish 3 things. Film a skyline, match an image of buildings to the exact motion of the camera, and place the image behind some of the real features in the shot. As with any view of a stationary landscape shot from a single vantage point, the motion in this video can be tracked using just 2 points. One measures the change in position, the other the change in rotation. We apply that information to the item we want to put in the scene, and it instantly tracks into place in a realistic way. To put it behind real objects in the video, we can do some manual rotoscoping, or, as in the case of this video, use the luminance difference in the clouds to automatically generate a mask hiding part of our fake item. All that's left to do is replace the item with a futuristic cityscape. Now,
see, I told you this guy knows what he's talking about. We're creating CGI effects.
Where could we possibly get our hands on something like that?
So yeah, it gets the image. Oh, that's it, I suppose.
There. Why, that looks real enough to be explained as a mirage on CNN. Oh wait.
He didn't make his blurry enough, like the original.
It was.
Over 93,000...
He doesn't like CNN much. Who does, so... Okay, so, yeah, the link's on the side there. Go and check out all his other videos. He's really good. That one's got 2 million views so far, and obviously A51's been here because he's downvoted at 1.1k. So yeah, probably a lot of crazy conspiracy theorists out there think it's blue beam nonsense, or whatever, or something even more crazy, like you said, like a crossover between another dimension, when simply it was just faked. So yeah, millions of people in China, you'd expect a lot more images on different angles of the same thing if it was actually a real thing. So that sort of debunks it there right away. So that's really all you really needed to know. But it's a good video. So his Mickey Disney one's quite funny. I played that a few live streams back. Let's see, about 4-6 months ago. It's well worth having a look. Do I have time for the other stuff? How long are we going? 2 hours. So I'll just close that down. Right, so we can talk about To the Star stuff and other stuff here. I'll leave maybe Ant People. That might be I'll leave it for Sunday. Yeah, we could talk about Coral Castle. Probably have it a wee bit of out of order here. There's a lot of shows on TV right now that's saying Coral Castle is not explained, but that's untrue. This video here debunks it completely. Coral Castle solved is and it's a really good video. So we'll just turn on subs here, speed it up.
Structure built by Latvian American Edward Leeds Scalnan in the mid-1900s in Homestead, Florida. It consists of several large stones carved from limestone, which was formed from coral. There is a lot of speculation as to how exactly Leedskalnin built this structure. This is partly because Leedskalnin himself was pretty vague when he was asked how he did it. This has led a lot of people to believe that Edward Leedskalnin knew some kind of ancient secret of how to levitate rocks or something similar. There are several points of interest regarding Coral Castle that I will discuss in this video. Number 1. How did Edward Leedskalnin lift, move, and carve such heavy stones? Number 2. What's the deal with this mysterious black box seen in pictures? Number 3. What was the odd-looking circular object that many speculate was a power source for Coral Castle? Number 4. How did he make a large stone door move with the slightest touch? Number 5. What were the numbers inscribed on this stone? And number 6. Why was he so vague about his technique? Let's start with the question, how did Leedskalnin lift the stones? Well,
so actually, he wasn't so vague. He actually said he went to the library and read all the books on the pyramids, and he figured out the technique they used. So yeah, this guy's going to break it down a bit more.
believe it or not, there are actually pictures and even a very recently found little-known short film showing him using a heavy lifting tripod or teepee lift with a block and tackle hand chain hoist to lift the stones. The tripod and hoist method using large logs was a very common method of lifting heavy objects at the time that Leedskalnin built Coral Castle. In fact, this method is still in use today. These days, lifting tripods are still made with logs, but the commercial ones are made with steel or aluminum. The hoists that Leedskalnin is shown using are really typical hand chain hoists, sometimes called a block and tackle or chain fall, and some of the hoists are still in the tool shed at Coral Castle. A chain hoist is operated by hand. An operator will easily pull down on one side of the chain loop. This chain loop is smaller than the actual lifting chain, which is in the middle of the hoist, since the hand chain doesn't actually have to do any lifting. It's only attached to a wheel, which connects to the gear housing. This will turn a pulley mechanism inside the chain hoist housing. When this pulley turns, it will lift up the end of the other, much larger chain, which usually has a hook on the end. I actually used to work at a shop that sold and repaired and even load-tested chain hoists, and just by looking at the hoist in these pictures, it has a very large capacity, probably 10 to 30 tons. You can tell by the size of the hook, the large gauge of the chain, and also by the fact that the chain block is tripled at the bottom. This is a method only found in large capacity chain hoists. The pulley at the bottom of the hoist doubles the capacity of the hoist for every chain. In this case, there are 3. It should also be noted that in the pictures of Ed using the tripod, you can see that he's actually using 2 hoists, which would again double the capacity he was able to lift. In the
2 hoists. I see one there. And I guess there's one up here. Or was it there? I can't quite see. But there's the box on the top here, so he's going to explain that in a minute. So yeah, each of the chains doubles the lifting capacity, doesn't it? So the more it twists around, the more weight you can lift. Quite simple, really. I don't know if the Egyptians had a block and tackle, but we did cover that on a live stream where the sound got munted. If you haven't seen it, it's quite a good one that I did. Probably a few videos back now, but I had to edit the sound on it to make it better. This one here is improved audio. So that one I talk about how they moved the big stones in Egypt as well.
video, you can actually see Ed lifting a 15-ton stone with only one hoist. The largest stone at Coral Castle was about 30 tons. Even if we assume that the hoist he was using in the video was only 15 tons, he could have simply added another hoist, as seen in the still pictures, to lift the 30-ton stone. It should be noted, however, that the largest stones at Coral Castle are sitting on the ground and probably didn't need to be lifted off the ground, but rather just stood up on their ends, which means that the full 30-ton capacity wouldn't even be needed. This also explains the box at the top of the tripod, which much has been made about. This box served 2 purposes. It helped to secure the 3 beams of the tripod, and it also contained the shackle with which to attach the chain hoist. With modern metal tripod gantries, the same purpose is achieved by welding a metal plate to the top of the beams, as seen in the picture below. How did Leedskalnin move the stones from the quarry to the site?
I guess what he's saying there about the box at the top. Don't need that now. So if you look inside the box, rectangle. So he's got a box on top. So what he's saying is obviously it's thick, probably been cut out where it's got the hook on it in the middle. So it'll have a hole in there, but the 3 posts joined together. Need a circle. So he just used like a solid metal box and repurposed it, and put the lid back on. And so you got the 3 posts on there, one there. Why is it not done it? One there, and simply would have just been a big bolt in the top. Have I got a hexagon one? Represent a bolt. 6-sided. So have a big bolt that bolts it through the metal and keeps those posts together. And then you would have like a hook that goes through here, welded probably or bolted on. You know, usual hook. Don't know if I can draw one. You know, one like that, grappling hook, which would be melted underneath the box, which kind of makes sense, because if you saw some of the older pictures of the logs, they're actually bolted together with another block of wood. So maybe you can scroll back and show, or maybe you can find actually another picture of one. 3 poles tripod. See if that comes up. Tripods. 3 poles, wooden maybe. Here we go. So that one's tied together. And this one's got a box on top with a light. That's got a metal one, like he showed there before. I wonder if we can get the one with the big weight on it. You'd think it'd be easy to find it. Probably have to go back in his video. Block tackle. Well, that one's bolted. That one's also got a bolt thing. So there's a hook thing. So obviously when I drew it last time, that one's got the hook and it goes through probably a hole either side of that metal thing to clip on, where maybe has another bolt that goes through the middle of that square bit box at the top. Looks like I might have to scroll back his video to show you the big post one that he was using. Bit like that there. We go back, let's see if we can find it. Is it there somewhere? Where's the one of the big wooden posts that you had? I saw it there on the picture. There we go. I think it's here. See here, they got it bolted together that way. In fact, that one looks almost like a 4-post one, doesn't it? With another post the other side. I suppose it might be even stronger, and then got it bolted together with a slab in the middle.
holding a metal plate to the top of the beams as seen in the picture below. How did Leedskalnin move the stones from the quarry to the site? Here again, we're helped by this amazing new video recently uncovered. In this short film, it shows Leedskalnin using a technique that is used by many machinery movers today. He's using a chain, ratchet, and a system of rollers. This method could easily move even the largest stone at Coral Castle with minimal effort. This is because the capacity of the ratchet pulling the stone only needs to be a fraction of the total weight of the object that it's pulling. How did Edward Leedskalnin carve the stones? The stones that were used to build Coral Castle were made out of a type of limestone formed by coral. This stone was quarried on site, so he never had to move the stones very far. The stone is actually relatively easy to quarry since the particular type of stone was very brittle and therefore easy to chip away from the bedrock. According to James Miller, a tour guide at Coral Castle, after removing the stone from the quarry, it was carved using a chain with teeth, much like a chainsaw blade. The quarrying and carving of the stone is not usually disputed since there's nothing very mysterious about it other than the fact that it would take a great deal of patience. But considering that Leedskalnin worked on the site more or less continually for over 28 years, we can see that, if nothing else, Leedskalnin was a patient man. What was the odd-looking circular object that many people speculate was the power source for Coral Castle? This is actually an AC generator, which worked by attaching copper wire, which has since been removed, to magnets on a flywheel. This is the same basic system used for a modern hand crank powered radio. Leedskalnin was interested in electromagnetism and built this device as a kind of demonstration. According to a Coral Castle tour guide, Ed would spin the flywheel manually, which would then light up 2 light bulbs. This was all that it powered. There was nowhere to store the electricity, so the light bulbs would go out as soon as Ed stopped the crank. Many people mistakenly believe that this somehow powered the whole site of Coral Castle, but it was essentially just a showpiece that he used when giving tours of the site. And this generator wouldn't have had the ability to power much of anything, even if it was constantly cranked. How did he make a large stone door move with the slightest touch? The entrance to Coral Castle was a large stone door that would spin with even the slightest touch. Up until recently, when the hinges broke, people were unaware of how he achieved this. Since then, however, they've discovered that an iron rod and an old truck bearing was placed in a hole drilled at the bottom of the rock. This could be done by making sure that the hole was drilled at the rock's center of gravity. Once you find the rock's center of gravity, it's easy to move. Notice how this man easily moves stones up to 25 tons. In fact, he's even moved an entire barn by himself. It's all about finding the center of gravity. What were the numbers inscribed on the door jamb on the 2nd floor of Coral Castle? There are 2 sets of numbers inscribed on a door at Coral Castle, and many have speculated that these numbers were a clue as to how Leedskalnin moved or lifted the stones. But they are actually his immigration registration number and his citizenship number. You can actually prove this because Leedskalnin's immigration papers still exist. It was common for immigrants in those days to post or carve these numbers on a door for the authorities. Finally, why was Leedskalnin so vague about his technique? Edward Leedskalnin often built Coral Castle at night, and he evaded questions about how exactly he built it. He gave cryptic answers to people that asked him, like, "It's not difficult if you know." It seems that he wanted people to think it was more mysterious than it was. I speculate that at least in part, this was just good marketing. After all, he did make his living giving tours of Coral Castle, and it would just make sense to keep people guessing as to his methods. Having said that, I want to make it clear that I think that Edward Leedskalnin was obviously a genius, although I don't think he knew anything about anti-gravity. If you'd like to see more debunkings of similar theories, watch my 3-hour-long film called Ancient Aliens Debunked in the notes. Thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty good too. Stuff that the ancient alien guys don't tell you. So yeah, so that's Coral Castle. I've talked about that before, but I did think I played this video. I wasn't too sure about fair use and copyright and all that at that time. But it doesn't hurt to repeat it to new people that probably won't look at the old videos. So I'll just close that down there. So, where to now? I don't need that map up now. People, I might leave that for Sunday or something. Okay, so this documentary here, which wasn't too bad, Melfi Buddha. What are they? Talks about To the Stars and the Tic Tac. But this story here is a witness that counterfeits David Fravor's sighting somewhat, and You have to wonder why Tom DeLonge and Luis Elizondo and To the Stars and AATIP and all that guys have never brought it forward, especially on that new show of theirs. So I'll just post the link to the full video here. I'll just play a clip of it, of the interview, and then I'll talk about the Tic Tac. Missing witness Nimitz, I suppose. Nimitz. Tic Tac sighting. 2004, I think it was. So you can watch the full one after my live stream at least, and we'll just play the clip here. Just get it queued up properly. So here we go, that's David Fravor.
Or seamount, as the waves come and there's something right under the surface, they'll break.
A rare theory is that the craft David Fravor saw just under the surface of the water was a flying saucer. For a point of reference, here's Naval Operations Specialist Trevor, who was on board the Nimitz during the Tic Tac incidents in 2004.
The object that I saw was a flying saucer shape, not a Tic Tac. This object had shot from the ocean up. That object made a couple different quick maneuvers. But everybody says Tic Tac, I don't remember that at all. Straight dome, like a flat bottom. It looked just like a flying saucer, just like we all know, we've all seen reports of, just a dome with a flat bottom, just like that. And I tried verifying that with other people, and they just did not want to talk about it. I'll never forget that day, the rest of my life. It blew my mind.
I find it telling that no one in the media or no one in To the Stars Academy even mentions this report. I understand the DoD wants to move away from the stigma, but I worry that while attempting to do this, they leave out pertinent information that can help the public link these recent events.
It looked just like a flying saucer
With past events.
So it looked like a round disc.
Helping us to substantiate the phenomenon as a reoccurring presence with noticeable patterns.
And then you saw it, and then boom, it was gone.
And over to the entrance of Pearl Harbor, there was 9 silver discs.
A dome with a flat bottom.
It was shaped like 2 saucers put together with a golf ball on top. Tell me who did that. Tell me in 1964, who had that technology?
But if you think that flying saucers, or UFOs generally, are purely a cultural invention, why then have governments around the world been continually trying to create them? Is all of this a coincidence or incompetence? I don't think so. I think it's simple. Flying saucers and other aerial phenomena are real and physical, and for decades, aerospace projects have been continually trying to recreate them, the success of which remains to be seen.
Okay, so that's something I just wanted to bring attention to, which is the first time I heard about it too, was on this guy's show. So he's doing a lot better than I am, with 142,000 subs. Not too sure what other videos he's got there. But that clip there was really good. So he's got Alex Jones. What's his name? Lazar. Phoenix Lights. Golden Age. So it's not all about UFOs, obviously. So yeah, go and check him out. The link's on the side there. But that brings us to the Tic Tacs, and I had to think about it. Why wouldn't they? What else could it be if it wasn't a flying saucer? And I thought, well, they're experimenting with holograms, and I found this thing here, which is a circus in Germany showing holograms. So I'll just see if I can play a clip of that. I'm not sure if it's YouTube or not. Just speed it up a wee bit there. Got no captions there, fortunately. What's happened? Oh, here we go. So we'll just play that. So this is all hologram. circus with no animals.
Der neue Zirkus, der uns hineinführt in ein ganz neues Zeitalter. Der alte Zirkus ist leider allmählich dann so eingeschlafen. Und so kann der Zirkus...
Die Geschichte des Zirkus ist untrennbar mit dem Pferd verbunden.
Ich finde, das Hologramm ist sehr zeitgemäß. Ich finde, dass eben hier keine Tiere auftreten. Finde ich gut.
Look how solid that looks.
Das sind manche Nummern, die wären unvorstellbar
You can see that being a UFO,
die wunderbar auf die Zeit übertragen. Und ein Musterbeispiel.
So that's the point I'm trying to make. So you got a Tic Tac that's floating above water, and it looks a bit like this. The fish looks very solid, three-dimensional, not transparent at all. And how would you do that as a decoy? Makes perfect sense to have decoys, you know. So I was thinking maybe you could mount it on a well, if you have a sub, right, a sub wanted a decoy, it would come to the surface, so you'd see the sea bubbling, and then it could pop up a projector through the water initially, which then shows like a Tic Tac UFO, and then fire a missile that's actually got the holographic protection system on it. And I was looking at what's the speeds of rockets, because they would go from sea level to 20,000 feet quite fast. And I found this here. Hypersonic missile travels at speeds of Mach 5 and higher, 5 times faster than the speed of sound. So it's up there with the speed that they were talking about. So let's see. Could they get a missile that go any faster? Most probably they've probably got even faster missiles that we don't know about in development. So let's see. How fast from... Well, let's see. If it's 20,000 feet... and it travels from 0 to 20,000 feet in 2 seconds. That makes it 10,000 feet per second. Let's see, 10,000 feet per second to meters, I suppose. Meters per second. So 3,048. Per second. So in 2 seconds it can do 20,000 feet, 80,000 feet. That would be how many seconds? 8. Yeah, 8 seconds or whatever. But speed of sound was 333 meters per second, wasn't it? So that's Mach. Let's see, Mach 10. Speed of sound. Oh, actually, we had it on the other screen, didn't we? Speed limit. Oh no. We got it miles per hour here, which is about 1 mile per second. So what did we have before? Just trying to wrap my head around the calculations. A mile. What's it? 2 miles. 3,048 meters per second. 2 miles per second. 1.89 miles per second, and what we say it was 1 mile per second, so it sort of matches up, doesn't it? It's pretty close to what they were saying in the video of the Tic Tac, that it could go from sea level to 20,000 feet in a few seconds. So yeah, so as you can see here, I was thinking makes sense to have a hologram system on a rocket, but you can't see here too much smoke, too much mist that has to be projected in, but it's a low light, of course. So how would you get it to look better in daylight. Well, a rocket gives off a lot of fumes, so it gives a lot of water vapor, right? Which would be ideal for holograms. But here we got Elephant also shows up here, which is pretty cool.
Es muss mit der Zeit gehen und wir alle müssen mit der Zeit gehen. Ich finde das ganz
Of course, it doesn't look too good in 2D, does it?
Ich fand das Hologramm am Anfang ganz, ganz toll. Und man kennt ja Zirkus und auch von Kali wirklich noch mit Pferden und Hunden auf jeden Fall. Die waren ja immer dabei. Und ich fand, die haben das super aufgenommen am Anfang, auch diese Geschichte erzählt. Und dann wirklich diese neue Art.
They got a hot air balloon there, and they got fake curtains. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool, and they got a clown coming up, so we don't see it all there. It's pretty amazing. I'll give you the clip so you can have a re-watch of it. So that's the Smithsonian.com website. The holographic circus. So why couldn't the military be experimenting with holographic decoys mounted to rockets, which could be like accelerate real fast, and they could even make them hover. They could, you've seen Elon Musk's rockets, they come back down, they hover and they come slowly back down. So same technology is possible for military use. And that could be why they haven't come clean about it, because they don't want to tell the Russians that they've got these holographic decoys that look like real craft. So that's what I was thinking, and I tweeted it about a wee bit this week. But I started looking at some more of the hologram stuff, see what's been researched. So yeah, the speed of the missiles all checks out. And of course rockets can go faster than the jet planes even, because they don't have to have a passenger in it. But there's a maximum speed before they tear apart. I think it might be something ridiculous like Mach 13 or something. But not crazy speed like John Adair was claiming, like 20 Machs or 100 Mach speed. That would simply just snap the rocket in half. So that's just nonsense, that guy. But just close that one down. So yeah, holograms, air vortexes, and the future of VR. So they're talking about here interactive holograms, where you can actually see it with your eyes in front of you, but you can also put your hand and pat it like a dog or whatever. So they're now working on that. Who was it? Who was working on that? Was it Microsoft? Let's see. True 3D or holographic video on the threshold make a major breakthrough. What year? When was this? This year. So not February this year. Races on to develop the hologram, and for many, the next stepping stone are light fields. How about that? Digital creations remain trapped in 2D. So imagine what the future home gaming is going to be like. A real hologram projects an accurate visual representation of object onto a 3D space. Pepper's Ghost. Auto stereoscopic glasses, 3D LEDs mounted on a spinning fan blades, AR and VR headsets. So that's another thing people said. Or how do you get how would you do radar? Because they said that the Tic Tac was on radar. So well, simply a rocket is going to reflect radar, but you can add extra things onto a rocket that makes it look bigger. A radar reflector, it makes it a bigger signal and can fool the radar system. So that also can be done. So holographic missile decoy system launched from a submarine could make perfect sense. And of course they were talking about seeing a cube inside a sphere, a transparent sphere, which sounds very much like a hologram, doesn't it? And that's probably why they weren't afraid of hurting the pilots doing a test run from DARPA or somewhere like that, because they knew it was only a visual effect. And when it was passing between jets, it may have been a projected hologram rather than the rocket itself. The rocket may have been below the planes, you know, may have gone into a stealth mode so the planes didn't detect it, and it could have beamed up between the planes. Makes sense to have the planes get chasing phantom objects in a war scenario. So it's one thing that I thought about that no one's ever brought up. So again, I think outside the box and bring you this other insights that other people don't. So who was working on this? CEO of Lightfield Lab. So here's some images that they've got projected. So they're talking about able to touch it, 360 degree scene. Goes on a bit here. The heavy lifting for LF capture developed has fallen to Google, which acquired some of the assets and engineers from Litro, has been testing a system consisting of a modified GoPro Odyssey Jump VR camera bending into a virtual arc of 16 cameras mounted on a rotating platform. I think it's a wee bit different to these other holograms, but how they project it. It's sort of like inside a glass dome, so I guess maybe they have some sort of transparent thing where they're being the three-dimensional thing around, but I could see how they could spin it around a missile, projecting all around it. Because you've got to remember that the military is like probably 20 years ahead of our current technology, so it makes sense that they might have something like that for decoy systems, for artificial tanks, artificial jets. And why would they choose a UFO? But the thing is that Witness talked about it being like a normal classic saucer, and yet everybody's talking about it being like a Tic Tac, like a cylinder, flat shape. Like a Tic Tac suite prototype display. Where does it talk about interacting? So I can see in future you might have like a western where you can actually shoot arrows at cowboys from horses or whatever, you know, or target practice, you know. Shoot people like that's real. I suppose it could be used for combat training for military, even realistic compression, JPEG. Well, goes on a bit here. There was a bit there, I can't seem to find it. Maybe it wasn't on this one, where it was talking about interacting with it. Where it could detect where your hand was. And the gloves or whatever probably give you some feedback like it's a solid object or something probably. So we'll just copy that one there. The of the future, or off now really. It's not too far around the corner. So what else did I find here? Alright, this come out too, which is quite interesting. I was looking for any applications for holograms in military. Well, apparently they use them in head-up displays for three-dimensional of actual plane in front of them for targeting. It's pretty amazing stuff. But here they're doing a competition. I'll just post a link to it. Holographic research competition, which probably universities and all sorts of people would get on board to try and win the money or the fame. And use. I'll just get it to read out because I should really go and get a drink really. It closes September as well. I'm not sure if that's the applications or the simulation. The actual simulation it says here. So it's 17,000 is not really much, is it? So let's do a readout of it. I'll probably have to wrap up after this. Getting thirsty and need to go to the toilet. But yeah, it's been a fairly easy going night.
Overview. Explore ideas for the creation of a hologram or 3D image in a remote location and at different distances. The hologram image must be projected without use of existing fixed structures or supports and with minimal setup time. The challenge is to develop a concept to create an image in an operational and/or expeditionary ad hoc environment using remote terrestrial vehicles, a vehicle-mounted system, a mount-packable system, and / or similar capabilities to deploy the system. The system might have the potential to leverage power locally or come with a solar kit or battery operated. Use case: a military information support operation (MISO) team is deployed to the CENTCOM area of responsibility. The team has been tasked with projecting holograms of realistically appearing deities and/or leaders of importance. They have also been tasked to assist with keeping insurgents away from key terrain by producing holographic smoke, illusory walls or obstacles, and other types of strategic deception management. User designments: the tool must be capable of cloud management, third holographic high resolution during day or night, can be integrated into multiple devices, solar energy wirelessly charged, used for optical deception and cloaking, supports open strategic deception management, stores hundreds of gigabytes of information, and capable of motion capture technique. Additionally, the tool must be capable of masking true troop numbers, producing holographic smoke, creating illusory walls or displays behind which soldiers could hide, creating images such as weather patterns, buildings, religious figures, and other decoys. How can you participate? Review challenge objectives and specifications.
So how about that? So that's the Defense Systems Journal, right? So it's got a link here to that one there. So it's definitely, military are definitely looking at using holograms for decoys. They're talking about artificial fog and artificial walls, or look like solid walls. So obviously it's possible to be done. Obviously they want it also for daytime use. So who's to say they haven't already done it? Or DARPA haven't already done it. Normally it had a picture of where is it? Okay, I must have pushed the wrong link. There's another link here. Click here to download. Link to the war thing. Where is it now? Was it that one? No. It was giving us some examples in the background of what they were using it for. Oh, it doesn't matter. Can't spot it right now. Kind of crazy. Let's see it. Details are here. Where did I find that link? Oh well, it doesn't matter. Maybe it was on the main page. Nope. Not sure where I've lost it now. Anyway, it's obviously I need a break. I think I've done quite a lot of stuff tonight and cover it pretty good for you guys, laypersons. Hopefully you understood. Also, talk about ant people sometime in the weekend. And I'll talk about this crazy dream I had. Bill from MUFON reckons I had a alien visitation, so I'll talk about that. It's quite a crazy dream, and what happened. That's if it's not a real dream. So maybe the aliens are coming after me now, I don't know. So yeah, thanks for watching out there. I'll say good night, and I'll go and get a drink, and I'll tidy up the upload once Google's processed it, and catch you again Saturday hopefully, and my Monday, which will be Sunday night as well, trying some new times. Good night. Oh, please like and share. I think we only had 2 watching all night. I think a couple of people dropped in or went. Looks like 12 people it says here. I don't know if that's true. So I'll just wind down now. Thank you for joining me. Please sub as well.